So it's not just a wife, right? Spouse, ex-spouse, a child. An incapacitated adult, that means a person who is either emotionally or physically disabled temporarily or permanently. An adult child, a parent, a sibling, or any other relative that's considered a family member under the Act. I'm not going to go through the specific definitions because that's not what you're here for, but I want you to try and recognize when it happens, what it is, all right? So when you put somebody in fear of physical injury, you threaten them, I'm going to hurt you, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to, beat you up. That in itself is committing an act of domestic violence, all right? Causing physical injury, hurting the person. Compelling the victim to engage in an act or conduct which the victim has a right to abstain. Forcing someone to do something that they don't have to do, all right? Now, confining or detaining a victim, all right, telling them you can't go out. Just by saying can't go out, I'm taking the key, things like that, that's already part of it. Okay? Causing mischief or damage to property. Right? Destroying something, breaking a chair, breaking something that is very beloved to that person. Right? But it doesn't mean in anything like this, causing mischief or damage to property, causing psychological abuse. Now that was a good amendment to the Act, because domestic violence oftentimes is not just the physical abuse. It is creating an environment where the person is crippled and cannot act, right? Causing delusions using intoxicating substances, that could be drugs or alcohol, whatever. Now, domestic violence in the, generally, not under the Act, but generally, if you look at domestic violence, what it is an abuse of power. In an intimate relationship, in an intimate setting, all right? Husband and wife, father and child, it is abuse of power, and one partner, usually male. 80 to 90% of domestic violence acts are committed by the male person in the relationship. And this is to control or dominate the other person. It's not only physical, but sexual, economic, and almost always psychological, leaving the woman disempowered and living in fear. It's important for you to understand that definition, because then you will understand why is it that this person can't leave. I mean, are you nuts? You're going to be killed. Why can't you just walk out? You get frustrated. And I've been in that situation, not with Zanny, I'm a lawyer. I have been dealing with this area for so long. I've been in this situation with my clients. I've been in this situation with my friends. Close friends, and you're trying to help them and trying to provide a safe place, but they just can't seem to get out. I mean, you can't pull them out of that situation. They need to be able to get out, right? But it is a debilitating situation. They cannot, they come to a place that they can't act, right? So we need to understand how to help. And you can only do that if you understand what it is, what happens in that situation. Okay, now we're on number 2. Domestic violence signs and cycles. Okay, how does it escalate from verbal abuse to physical abuse? How do you recognize that it's going to happen, right? So that you can tell your friend or you can leave and be in a safe place. So there's noticing the warning signs and symptoms of domestic violence and abuse is the first step to ending it. No one should live in fear of the person they love. Okay? Signs that you may be in an abusive relationship. Your inner thoughts and feelings. Do you feel afraid of your partner much of the time? Do you avoid certain topics out of fear of angering your partner? Do you feel that you can't do anything? You feel like you're walking on eggshells. You dare not say something. You're afraid that it'll be a trigger to another episode. You're afraid it'll be a trigger to another spate of verbal abuse on you. If you are in that situation, then it is the beginning signs. All right? Do you ever wonder if you're the one who's crazy? You're not. But do you ever wonder if you are? Why is it that, why am I always doing the wrong thing? Do you ask yourself those questions? Why am I so silly? Why am I so stupid? Now sometimes we have those, those verbal, what do you call that? Our tape that goes on. All of us do. But this is a continual one. It cripples you. And then, do you feel emotionally numb or helpless? Now look at the next quadrant, which is, does your partner humiliate or yell at you? You may not be going through this, but if you have been in a situation where you're going out with a couple and you find that that person seems to be saying things which are not very nice or uncomfortable because it's making the woman, I'm going to use man or woman because of the majority of the situation that's the case, makes the woman feel, seem stupid. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, that to you may seem normal, but if it constantly happens, you know you're so stupid. In public, to begin saying those things in public, you know already there's an escalation. If it's happening in public, let me assure you it's happening 10 times more in private. Alright? We're going to talk about how to step in later, but let's just look at the symptoms. Does your partner criticize you and put you down? Treat you so badly that you're embarrassed for your friends or family to see? Ignore or put down your opinions or accomplishments, and blame you for his own abusive behavior? Sees you as a property or a sex object rather than as a person. Alright? Now your partner's violent. Now this is the escalation already. Now going in a clockwise. Controlling behavior. Does your partner act excessively jealous and possessive? Where are you going? Why didn't you answer my call? How come when I called you weren't there? 10 text messages in the space of a few moments. You know, it goes on and on. Why didn't you come back on time? You said you'll be here at 5 o'clock. Why were you here at 5:05? You've been hanging around with other people again, isn't it? I know your tricks. Now it goes on and on and on. It goes on and on and on. Right? Small things like being late 15 minutes. And you know, but why? Because the person wants to control who you're with, who you're talking to. Oftentimes, will look at your SMSs, your phone calls, looks at your history. That's already signs, okay? Limit your access to money, the phone or the car, constantly checks up on you. Keeps you from seeing your friend or family. Does your partner have a bad, last one, have a bad and unpredictable temper? Hurt you or threaten to hurt you or kill you? Now you know already this is, once they start threatening this way, it will be a matter of time before the threats are executed. Have sex, destroy your belongings, okay? So it starts with emotional and verbal abuse. Cutting remarks that destroy your self-worth. You're fat, you're stupid. Look at your cooking, disgusting. I can't eat this food, right? Physical abuse. Physical abuse is when the wife is injured in a non-sexual manner, all right? And then it goes on to their sexual abuse, forces sex on a partner. Now, how do you tell that verbal abuse is heading towards physical abuse? As I said, things like, if you ever leave me, I'll kill you. That's already a sign. If you don't do what I tell you, I'm going to beat the daylights out of you. If he starts damaging property that is of sentimental value to the victim. Very funny, they don't damage their own property. They'll find a way to damage your property. Why? Because it's a way of hurting. Accident, I didn't mean it, an accident. They know they've hurt you. Alright? Okay. Still on DV signs and cycle. This is, as you look, I'm going to go through this again and again as I told you. Can you read that? Or is it too tiny? Can, huh? So let's go through number 1. Intensity. Someone you just now. This is boyfriend-girlfriend situation. Watch out for this. For your children, for your daughters, your nieces, your sisters, watch out for this kind of situation, okay? Where someone you just met exhibits the following behavior: lying or exaggerating, insisting you move in or get married, not suggesting, insisting, right? Have kids immediately, try to win over your friends and family. You think, that's normal, what? Shouldn't they try to win over friends and family? Yes, but we look at the end game, see what happens after. Sweep you off your feet, over the top gestures, all right? Over the top, that's just not normal gestures. I mean, even out of our culture gestures, all right? Bombarding you with texts and emails, behaving obsessively and non-stop calls. That's not a sign of love, okay? That's a sign I want to control you. Love means I let you go, like do whatever you want. If you want to come back to me. That's love. Okay. Number 2. Okay, jealous.